Check.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. There's rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to disappear for a night, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
3, 2, 1. Action. Good morning, folks. Or late afternoon. Late morning. Early afternoon. Alright, welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. We have a lot to get over today because we did not have a whole lot this week. So let's just get right into it. We'll go over Biden's approval numbers. We'll go over registered voter economic confidence. We'll have Mike Collins, the candidate for Georgia 10 today. We'll talk to Don Smith. We'll hit the Q&A. It's going to be a day. All right, first, what overall in this... Oh, and California. Mm-hmm. What overall do I see here? Let me just show you. Interactives are interactives. Graphics are graphics. All right, clear as day. Joe Biden's approval has reversed.
Why do I hear feedback?
You hear feedback? All right. Well, whatever. I'll fix that in a second.
All right, go ahead.
There, you don't hear now. Joe Biden's approval has yeah, you do, don't you?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
All right. That's why. My fault. Better now, right? Yeah. Joe Biden's approval is flip-flop. All right? That is the moral of the story today. Look, coronavirus was his number one issue. It really was his only issue. For a very brief time, we did see what is basically, I think, the checks. You know, I don't know what else to say. The checks. The money that was going out as economic relief maybe helped his approval number on the economy overall. But in the end, it can't sustain. It wasn't enough. So overall, the job he is doing on coronavirus is not enough to offset what we see now. And that is a dropping number on coronavirus and a really badly negative numbers across the board on everything else. Foreign policy, 38%. Immigration, 37%. Whatever it is. We went over this on War Room with him. And you guys have seen it now for a few days. I don't know where the floor is for this guy. I know other people have decided that it's going to be a narrow spread. I don't know about that. Why? Because Joe Biden doesn't have anybody who loves him. I don't know how much I got to say this. There aren't people who tell us, you know what, Joe Biden is really, really popular and I completely love him. He's not like Donald Trump. He's not. He's not even like Barack Obama, for that matter. There, that probably helps someone. He's probably, going to rely on this 25% strongly approved, maybe even at some periods it's 30%. But for the most part, his negative intensity index, which Rasmussen daily tracks, maybe if we kept going, we would have saw the negative intensity index widen as well. But for right now, what we see is about negative 10 to 13 on any given day. And what do I mean by that? The percentage of people who strongly disapprove of the job Joe Biden is doing is anywhere from 10 to 13 percentage points higher than those who say they strongly approve. Most of Joe Biden's approval for this entire duration of this chart that we see here, most of his approval, I think it was only one time, right? When strongly approved was a little bit higher than somewhat. I think it was only one time. And that was where you see he's at 56% going back to April. All right, what happened? The vaccination rollout, okay? That's what happened. But now we don't see that because now the perception that he was going to do better on COVID is falling apart. It really is that simple. And when I said it was artificial, this is what I meant. On every, except for the April survey, on every other survey, most of his approval rating was, by and large, made up of somewhat approve. Somewhat approve can move, folks. Somewhat approve goes to undecided. Somewhat approve goes to somewhat disapprove. It moves. In the era of Barack Obama and in the era of Donald Trump, the somewhat approved number was always significantly smaller than the strongly approved number. Why? Because he had a base. Because Barack Obama had a base. Donald Trump, he had a base. Joe Biden never had a base. I don't know how much clearer I can put this for everybody. So this really shouldn't be that much of a surprise. What we saw this month, and for those who have the market site crosstabs, go look at the 2020 vote preference, which if you look at it, by the way, you'll see that if anything, his approval numbers could be a little bit worse because Donald Trump's vote share is slightly less than his official vote share in the poll. And given that 80-90% of Trump voters disapprove of the job Joe Biden is doing, you can, rest assured it's highly likely that if that other 1.5-2% were in the poll, then Joe Biden's disapproval numbers would be higher. I mean, that's common sense. But go and look at the vote share and cross it with Joe Biden's approval numbers. What you will see is now a climbing number of Biden voters who disapprove of the job he is doing. Now, some of them, of course, are liberals. Maybe you don't think he's too much to the left. That's a very small percentage, but that's there. The vast majority of them are a combination of independent and even some Republican moderates who voted for Joe Biden because they thought they couldn't stand mean tweets anymore. And now they're wondering whether mean tweets are worth a more stable situation. The economy is going not in the direction they expected it to go when Donald Trump was if Donald Trump was reelected. They absolutely expected the economy to do much better. Let's look at by party, okay?
picture up and it muted you.
One second. There we go. No, this is them again. Because now you can hear me, can't you?
No.
You should be able to. It's live. I can
hear
see
you
it.
now.
Yeah. I don't know. Are we really gonna go? Are we really gonna go through this again? All right. Look. It is what it is. All right. Let's just keep going. If they boot us, they boot us. Did I say anything that was?
Well, you're talking about the Momo, so.
Well, yeah, but I didn't say anything that's related to their prior problems with us. Anybody?
No, but not yet, but
All right, look, on the agenda today, streaming to Rumble. All right, even if we have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because I just can't deal with this anymore. All right, but you can't hear me now, so I can keep going.
yeah.
Okay.
You're perfect. You're clear.
All right, look, so bottom line here, what do we see? We actually do see, of course, his approval among Democrats is still nearly 9 in 10. That's not what happened here this month. What happened here was a dive among independents and the something else category. Why is that important? And of course, we'll get into the moderate Republicans, but the something else category is very important because with us folks, something else is third-party voters. We split up, and you guys know this if you're on our locals page, we split up independent from something else because that's in reality, independent is just simply not good enough to ask people. You won't be able to weight properly if you weight by party, which I know people do, even though I have my own views on that. But you would notice there's an issue with your other weighting if you look at just the nuns and you have access to voter files. The nuns, or really truly unaffiliated, depending on the state, that is what our independent is. In different states, there are other parties called the Independent Party. Mm-hmm. All right? And that's not what we mean there. These are unaffiliated voters, like you see Rasmussen asked, but then also if they're an NPA, like in Florida, no party affiliation. That is what our independent is. The something else is Green Party, Libertarian, Constitution, tax reform, whatever state you live in the different parties they have. Did I say Green Party? Green Party, if I didn't mention that. That's a something else. And if you remember all of the commentary before November 2020, these voters who voted for maybe third parties in 2016 did not vote for Hillary Clinton, although people say they tended to lean Democrat. They didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, and then that cost her the margin in Michigan. That cost her Pennsylvania. That cost her Wisconsin, right? That made New Hampshire closer. That made Minnesota closer. That made Colorado closer. That made Virginia closer. And that in 2020, this was going to be the group that was going to put Joe Biden over. Folks, he has a 27% approval rating with these people. 27%. When it comes to disapproval, 24% somewhat disapprove, another 35% strongly disapprove. You can go back and look at our other polling. It was not this bad, even when he looked to be slightly upside down with these voters, which they were the first indicators, actually. The third-party voters were the first sign of trouble for Joe Biden. And then the rest of the unaffiliated parties, the unaffiliated groups of voters, the independent, they followed the trend of the something else. And now, somewhat disapprove, 23%. I'm rounding here, folks, you can see. Strongly disapprove, 32%. So we're at 54% disapprove among independents for Joe Biden. and about 42, 43%, 43 approve. Of course, Republicans now, 68% roughly strongly disapprove, 23% somewhat disapprove. Look at that somewhat approve number. The 2% roughly, 3% roughly, that strongly approve among Republicans with Joe Biden, that really hasn't changed all that much. But that now 5% number roughly, and I know it's small on my end, I think it's 5.5. I'm going off of memory here because I can't see it on the screen that far away. But somewhat disapprove, somewhat approve has now shrunk considerably. If you remember, combined, he was doing pretty well among Republicans, anywhere from, not well, but 11 to 15%. And that's over now. And what did we see when we saw those moderate Republicans tell us now they disapprove of Joe Biden? It's the economy, coronavirus. Really, the most being coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
If we'd have kept going, because there was a small percentage that had to do with foreign policy, I wonder if that would have inflated as time went on, if we would have continued to interview. I'm not sure. I really don't know. And that's a shame. But let's look at his issues. All right? And tell me if you can still hear, right? Yeah. All right, I'm just making sure as we go everything's all right. All right, the economy and jobs. If you remember, slightly above water for the first time in that poll that was conducted in April, then evened out a little bit. We saw it come down a little bit this last one. Now for the newest survey, we're at 46% approve, 51% disapprove. You'll notice there's a shrinking number of undecideds for Joe Biden. He actually had something Barack Obama and Donald Trump did not, which was a lot of people who really just didn't have an opinion of him. He is the great unremarkable. That was not the case with Barack Obama. That was not the case with Donald Trump. You either loved him or you hated him. Joe Biden means nothing to many people. He meant nothing. He's a nobody to many people. I'm not trying to be mean here. This is what the numbers say. The great unremarkable. But now he's hurting people. It's affecting them personally. And now they care. All right, coronavirus pandemic, he's now down to 52% approve, 52.3 approve, 44.4 disapprove, another tenth of a percentage point, and that would have been rounded up to 45%. And a small number of undecided. What's so interesting about that one is that there wasn't that much of an undecided block in coronavirus. It flipped. This is people who once said, these are people who once said, I approve. And now they disapprove. They changed their minds. You remember once upon the time, guys, a couple months ago, this number was sitting at 60%. And that is what brought his overall approval number to a high of 56 in our poll. Immigration and border security, 35, right? Let me just make sure. No, 38.4%. Approve, 55.7 disapprove. Crime, 39.3 approve, 53.3 disapprove. U.S.-China relations, 36.2% approve, 51.5% disapprove. And finally, foreign policy, 38%, 38.1, with 52 rounding up, disapproving of the job he is doing. So again, what it does is it reinforces what I've been telling you. Now, some of this I do think has to do with the economy, and I know I'm blowing past. I don't want to keep Mike waiting at 11:20. We will come back. We will come back and talk more about this with Don and in later segments. I want to get this just overall through here, okay? This is the registered voter. Oh no, we went to congressional approval. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
The agenda's unpopular. We now see even Chuck Schumer, who was, not positive. Chucky wasn't positive, but he wasn't grossly negative. The moral of the story in this slide, folks, is that everybody's very unfavorable rating swelled. Now we see Nancy Pelosi up to 44.3%, very unfavorable. Mitch McConnell, 37.1%. Now, Mitch McConnell, even though Nancy Pelosi is at an all-time high, unfavorable in our poll, Mitch McConnell is still about 2 points, 1.5, 2 points higher when you combine very and somewhat unfavorable, okay? The only good thing Mitch McConnell has going for him versus Nancy Pelosi is the never heard of, no opinion number is bigger. However, I'm not sure how many people get to know Mitch McConnell like him. All right? His very favorable number among his own party, 9% last month, is now down to 6%. 6% of the Republican Party have a favorable opinion of Mitch McConnell. Abysmal. Moving on. Kevin McCarthy, by the way, is it wasn't horrible this month. I mean, it wasn't great this month, but it wasn't as horrible. He's still sitting at that 30 unsure of. He's just not making any headway. Okay, so when I tell you guys that you have to change the face of the Republican Party in order to change the identity of the Republican Party, this is what I mean. All right, moving on. This is the registered voter economic confidence index because we have 8 minutes and counting. All right, the gold line is the overall index rating. Very similar to the consumer confidence index, which has some predictive value. 2020 threw all these rules out the window, but has predictive value for presidential elections. We dumbed it down. We didn't dumb it down, but we narrowed it down to registered voters because in the end, who really gives a damn about all adults? If we're trying to look at the electorate, the mood of the electorate, then we only care about registered voters. So this is very much methodology, everything. When we calculate the index levels, methodology is very similar to the Consumer Confidence Board with the exception, folks, that we do not use 1985 as a baseline, okay? And the Consumer Confidence Index does. We still give relative values, all right? And I can tell you right now how we do this. But the Confidence Index plunged about 10 points this month. It ticked up slightly, but it never was really great. It ticked up slightly last, what was it? It was June, the June survey. It ticked up slightly, and now it just bombed again. And it bombed to a level that is below the level we have seen in the past, any level we've seen in the past. So he's at an all-time low. It's at an all-time low. Let's look at what goes into it, and I briefly want to explain methodology, and I'll go back and forth with the slides if I have to, okay? But here we go. All right. There are 5 sub-indicators and 2 sub-indexes that make up the main index, all right? That is the registered voter consumer confidence index, all right? Economic confidence. The 5 are current business conditions, current employment conditions. Those 2 sub-indicators make up the sub-index known as the present situation index. The expectations business condition, expectations employment conditions, and expectations for total family income are 6-month outlooks, and they make up the expectations sub-index. All right? What we do is find a relative value. We take the blue column, which is positive, okay? And we add it to the negative column, which is red. And when we get that number, we take the positive and divide it by the sum of those 2 to get a relative value. Right? To get the present situation index for those 2 equations, and I did this on locals. If you guys want to go and look at the arithmetic on this, it's pretty cool. All right, we take those 2, we average them together. Voila! You now have the present situation index. We take the last 3, we average them together. Voila! We now have the expectations indexes. For the overall index, what do you think we do, guys? All 5 get averaged together. But first, you got to get relative values for each of them. And briefly, let's go. We got 1125. We're doing all right. All right. So current business conditions has now fallen to 25. That was 29.5 last month, if I remember correctly. All right. Negative has skyrocketed to 31%. Neutral still remains 44.2, but folks, that sucks. That is the lowest we've gotten yet. It stinks. It's sad to watch. And ironically, we went over it, what was it, like 2 months ago, Laura? We went over the partisan difference in the economic confidence index, the registered voter economic confidence index. The problem we're seeing with the index now is that Republicans and independents are no longer 20, 30-point differences than Democrats. We're seeing even wider disparities, even though
Democrats themselves are getting more negative. It's not a good situation. It's not a good situation at all. All right, so what do people think? You know what? I'm going to jump to the last row here, because expectations for total family income, one of the 3 6-month outlook sub-indicators. They were telling us that people were trying to still remain generally optimistic about the future. They were like, yeah, things suck now, but they're going to get better. And unfortunately, we're just not seeing that.
Did you take off the overlay?
Well, I want people to see what I'm talking about.
The overlay.
Oh,
Yeah, so they can see.
the only thing they're missing right there is that it says Registered Voter Economic Confidence Index, and it's the question. On each of the following, can you please, tell us here? I'll do it real quick, and then I'll throw it back real quick. Okay? All right, that's what you guys are missing. Positive is blue, neutral is purple, red is negative, and the question is up there. Please assign either a positive, neutral, or negative rating to reflect your perception for each of the following. And again, that is, it mirrors the Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index that is conducted by Nielsen, okay? And it says Registered Voter Economic Confidence Index late summer, all right? But let's get, for that bottom row, that number is particularly important to me because it speaks of inflation too. What do people think their total income for their house is going to be in 6 months? And the more negative it gets, the more it should tell you folks that the money they have right now is starting to feel like it's spread thin. And maybe 6 months from now, I won't have enough money. My income won't be enough because of inflation, because I'm not getting wage growth, right? There's only 2 things that go into the minds of people, except for politics, and their ideological bent. But 2 things should go into their minds when they're deciding whether to give a positive, neutral, or negative view. And that is inflation and wage growth. If they are seeing strong wage growth, they're going to be positive. Even if the cost of goods are going up, as long as that, their income is rising relative to the cost of goods. But what we're seeing now is just more negativity across the board. Why maybe also this idea that they could leave a job and go to another job, that would be the expectation for employment conditions, that isn't great. It's still one of the few that remains, well, this month it did have more positive than negative. That's the only one, I believe. Right? Or does, I think income may have been like 2/10 higher. It's so hard for me to see the screen from that way. But the bottom line is, all across the board, more negative than last month's index. And business conditions, they got more negative too. And that was the bottom line, the expectations index was holding up because the present situation index was always bad. The expectations index was holding up the overall main index level. And now because it got more negative, it collapsed 10 points. If this keeps going, we're going to fall below 40. So if by next month we conduct this survey again, if 2 out of 3 of those future sub-indicators are negative, folks, we're going to fall in the 30s. And that is, I don't even know, Laura. We don't have anything to measure that to. We don't. Not even the Carter years, because frankly, in the Carter years, they didn't have the Consumer Confidence Index. All right, so yeah, it's just buzzing, people buzzing. All right, so, there you have it. Is there anything else you want to go over real quick before we, let's see.
Just a real quick question that was pertinent.
Okay.
How much of the change in the independent voter is due to Republicans jumping ship?
There is some of that, but here's the thing. I can't. Oops, I'm sorry. I brought a mic in. Yeah, there is something to that, guys. But the problem is, I didn't. Where am I going? How am I trying to say this? I didn't see a shrinking of the Republican electorate this month. Okay, what I saw was a slight increase, even though maybe the overall representation of that poll doesn't really show it. Okay. All right, let's bring in Mike. I got Mike Holden here. It's 11:31. I don't want him to hang tight and wait on us. But I'm going to bring in Mike Collins, candidate from Georgia 10. All right, And you're going to ask them questions. I got a few I want to ask them myself, but the locals community is how we roll with this. So let's bring them on. Hey, Mike, can you hear me okay? You can't hear me?
No sound.
No sound? All right, give me a second. Let me bring it. I actually expected this, folks, for a second. Yeah, there we go. Give me 1 second, Mike. Hang tight for 1 second. Yeah, you heard him, but I'll need him to
There
hear
you
me.
go.
You can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us. I got a couple things I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to let my locals community basically conduct the interview, if that's all right with you.
No, that's fine.
But the first thing, basically, Mike, I ask everybody, and thanks for joining us. The first thing I ask everybody is why you wanted to run, especially against, it's hard to take on the establishment. It's hard to take on incumbency. So, first and foremost, what made you do this? What made you decide to throw your hat in the ring?
It's a good opportunity to make a difference. But am I echoing?
A little bit. We'll fix it. It's all right. Keep going. We'll fix it.
Okay. All right. But no, it's an opportunity to make a difference. But particularly the fact that if you take a look at the past 4 years of the Donald Trump administration, and what did we have there? We had a successful business person, an outsider, that understands that you have to run that federal government like a business. And he also had these social conservative values that I have. And it's an opportunity for me to take my experience, my 30 years in business, and go to Washington and make a difference and reduce this debt, get the regulations off of our back, and improve the lives of the American people.
Yeah, and you can still hear me, right? Just to make sure, because I did change something. You can still hear me or no? No, let me go back. All right, so I guess the first question, and let me bring it up here. I don't want to lose his question. Somebody in your district. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you.
Okay. Somebody in your district, basically. This is going to be something you're going to come across, I imagine, quite a bit, right? So he says, I guess they voted for Heiss in the past, right? So the incumbent, but they are looking at voting for you, right? Because look, I think a lot of people are generally upset with the party, and if somebody else is giving them an alternative, I think most Republican voters at this point would say, let me give that person a look. So what they really want to know is if you can compare and contrast a little bit about you and the incumbent, because they really not extremely unhappy with right, not extremely unhappy with them, but if you could do a compare and contrast just to help them to make a decision.
Well, in our case, there is no incumbent. The current congressman is not running for re-election. He's running for a different office.
Jody's out? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's your answer. Well, there's your answer. That's simple enough. There you go. And I actually didn't know that. But, at this point, who else, I guess, you know what? I'm going to throw like 3 questions. Oh, go ahead.
We've got 13 people running in this race right now, and every one of us is different. And when you take a look at each one of us, and I encourage everybody, please look hard at us. And when I talk to people, I tell them not only in our race, but in every race. And that's a different situation. But if you look at where I'm at in my life, I have no other agenda that I want to go to Congress other than to get back my America First agenda and get the country back on track. I've got a job. I've got a great business that we run. So I don't need a career in Washington. And there are several running in this race. They don't have a job. That's what go do.
Let me ask you this. We didn't put it out yet, but we've been following what has been going on with the January 6th protesters, and I'm trying to take like 3 questions and smush them together here. But in a couple of days, we're going to put out the difference between how nationally the American people view what happened on January 6th.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah.
There's a lot. It's just a lot of echo.
There's a lot of echo. All right. Give me a second. I think. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I apologize for that. Is that any better?
Yeah, you're a little bit better there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think I added a double feed, but I'm trying to look at what they're asking me at the same time here. But everything that's been going on with the January 6th protesters, their treatment, what we did, and it's, people are going to see it soon. What we did was basically compare how the views among the national electorate versus views of those that live in the area where they're obviously in the court system. And we're showing the difference in the already predisposition toward these people. And it doesn't really seem like there are many representatives in Congress that are willing to do anything about this. A lot of people, a lot of Republicans feel, look, if the roles were reversed and this was somebody in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's district being mistreated in a DC, correction system, then there would be more voices coming forward about this. There's 3 questions about January 6th and how you would handle it differently. Is it, what would we be able to expect from you that we're just not seeing from, representatives in DC, Republicans in DC right now?
Well, I don't see any. There's a small group of representatives that are demanding that these people have their day in court. But where is Congress? Where's the rest of them? I don't know if what they did was legal or illegal,
Yeah.
but I do know that they deserve a speedy trial. I do know that they don't deserve cruel and unusual punishment. And if it takes every day for our Congress to be out there on the steps of that Capitol demanding that they get their day in court, then that's what they need to do.
And, I guess I really can't let you go without asking you about what is happening in Afghanistan right now. Republicans have, I don't want to call it a big tent, but you have some people who are more hawkish than others, Mike. And where do you fall on this issue? I think generally the criticism of Joe Biden is not whether or not to stay in Afghanistan, even though I do hear some people that say we should have a permanent presence there. It's how he did it. So where do you fall on this? Do you feel like we needed to maintain a presence there, or was the exit strategy just the wrong strategy?
Let's back up a few feet here. Donald Trump brought in and rebuilt our military so that we could do one major thing, and that was to maintain peace through strength.
All right.
And when you look at that, and you take Afghanistan, now let's take Afghanistan now. No matter what happened, no matter how bad the exit was, we've got a problem right now that we have to deal with. And that's the way I look at things. When I walk up, I look at the problem, how to fix it, how to resolve it. We get through that. What were the issues that caused the problem? Right now, we've got Americans over there, and they need to be brought home. And Afghanistan needs to understand that if any of those people are harmed in any way, that we have the capability and we should take them out. That's where we're at today. The problem is you've got an administration that nobody would really believe that.
Right.
When Trump was there and he told you something, you could take it to the bank. And people understood that. You didn't necessarily need to have a contingency there because there was that understanding that if you even thought of doing anything, we would take care of it right then. But today, with the current administration and the way that they are trying to turn this country, people aren't scared of us. So they certainly aren't scared of him.
So you think Donald Trump probably would have stepped in? I mean, the difference is that when this happened and when they started to, they say they didn't think 3 days that could happen. But generally, the difference is here, Donald Trump would have had some offensive action to slow their advance.
I don't even think they would have advanced. I don't think they would have advanced. But here's the thing, though. Everything I see, you take Joe Biden. When Joe Biden asks a question, when President Biden says anything,
and I fixed it now.
Take the Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah.
What was Trump's position? Oh, okay, we'll do the opposite. It almost looks like he said, okay, what was Trump's position on Afghanistan? Okay, we'll do the opposite. No other thought process in there. It's just that we do the opposite of what Trump did. And that's where he's getting in a lot of trouble. We're getting in trouble. And I don't want to bring it off Afghanistan, but just look at everything, Richard.
Yeah, to go
Look
where
at
you
it.
wanna
Look at
go.
our
Sorry.
inflation. Our inflation is out of sight. You got gas prices going through the roof, food prices going through the roof. Your cheap Chinese stuff is going to be delayed now because China's decided to close that big port over there because of one case of corona. And that's nothing more than the Chinese Communist Party saying, we're going to show them that we can control things. Trump wasn't scared of China. But
Yeah,
you've got a different situation now. And I guarantee you, you're going to see you think you see a few empty shelves now, you give it a few months.
yeah,
Those containers aren't coming.
I think I got to tell you, I sad to say, but you know, I'm left wondering myself whether or not some of these decisions were just, I don't know if it's spite or just to say they weren't going to stick with Trump's plan. There just doesn't seem to be any other plausible explanation. And as far as there's a generator company, I don't want to mention names, but one's American made, one has components coming from China. And this is going to happen. I was just talking to a contractor. They closed that port in China, and now they can't get parts for that generator. And they have homeowners with hurricane season coming who aren't going to get their generators installed. And I mean, that's just one thing. You know, that's a real world. It's going to happen. And those homeowners are going to get a phone call saying, we can't get that model. You want to choose another model or want to, something we already have in stock, which may or may not have been the right choice for their home. But yeah, that's just seems to be the way it is. You know, I don't know if I don't want to take you down a rabbit hole, but a lot of people are asking, it is Georgia, a lot of people are asking your views on election integrity, and you know, and we can keep it at that, really, Mike. You know, election integrity in general in the state of Georgia. You know what your thoughts are on that. What's your position on that? And how really the administration handled it?
You can throw me in that briar patch. I'm gonna tell you what we see out there. And I've been able to speak not just in Georgia, but in other states as well. And it's not any different in Georgia than what we're seeing across the country. There is a huge influx of new people that have never been involved with the party in any capacity that are showing up. I would say in excess of 30%. We've recently started just adding that up and getting a head count on how many people are there. Those people are so energized. They want to help and they want to do something because they know something is wrong. Sometimes they just feel it. And a lot of that is due to the Trump policies that are being reversed. But the number one issue is election integrity. And the number one problem that we have is there's no confidence in the past election. And all we've been asking is to audit the votes. We want to see a forensic audit on these votes. And if I'm wrong and there was nothing going on, hey, I'll take the mud in my face. I'll apologize for it. But there is no reason we shouldn't be able to audit these votes. And until you get confidence that back in these elections, you got a lot of people that are going to sit at home.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a big influx of new people that are mad, ticked off, and want to help. But when you have people that say, my vote won't count, I'm not going to go vote, you've got to fix that. You need to address that issue and then go from there. And these Dominion machines that we use takes 4 or 5 days to count the votes. Take them things out in the parking lot. I got a big red Peterbilt. We'll smash the things. Go back to paper.
Yeah.
If it takes 4 days to count it on paper, big deal. You're still in the same situation. But at least you build confidence back into the election system. And that is a problem here. And we keep saying we've got to address this. You've got to address it. And I think it will. There is a lot of information that keeps dribbling out. And as it does, you're going to see more and more people demand that we have an audit. You know, I kind of give an analogy. You know, if the IRS calls you and says, Richard, we got a problem with your tax return, we want to audit you. Well, they're going to come audit you. Now, if we think we have a problem with our election system and the voting, why shouldn't we have the ability to audit it?
Mhm.
It's no different.
Yeah, I think it's telling, and I'll say this. I think it's telling that, people who are for the audit and say, just open the books and look at it. You just said it. If I'm wrong, take mud in the eye. It's about the process, really. It's not really just about the outcome. It's about the confidence in the process. And
Hmm.
those on the other side of this, that just they're super confident that the election outcome was correct and everything was conducted with integrity, yet they don't want anybody looking. So one seems very confident and one doesn't. I mean, it's human behavior. If they were really that confident, why couldn't they? I just don't understand, why can't they just accept that a large percentage, 52% in Georgia, in our polling before those runoffs in January 5th, which they lost because of what you just said, which it really were Central Georgia, South Georgia, Trump country. They did not go out to vote, and that they
I,
were discouraged.
I
And
think when you go back, if you tally the legal votes, you're going to see Trump won Georgia. You tally
we're
the
in the
legal votes,
majority
and you're going to see David Perdue won that Senate race in November.
in November. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got to tell you, 52 or 53%, including a good deal of Democrats, when we asked the question of whether people thought Joe Biden had won their state, or whether people basically looked the other way and counted mismatched signatures. That's how the question was worded, and a majority in Georgia said they believed that that Joe Biden did not win that state. So I don't understand how you could move forward with that kind of distrust in the system and that lack of confidence. It just leads to terrible things down the road. So, I
It
guess,
does.
yeah,
It does. But I don't want to tell people to stay home either.
that's right.
I've met a number of people that did not go back and vote in the runoff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my goodness, why? Well, my vote wouldn't count. And the thing I tell them is, well, you didn't go vote, so you didn't even give the Democrats a chance to cheat. You could have at least went and voted, you know. So,
Right.
but yeah, we've got to have some resolution on that. I think it's going to be forthcoming, and then I honestly believe that the wave, we call it a big wet red wave, it's coming. The midterm elections are going to be huge, and not only are we going to take back the House and the Senate, but I think that there is such an opportunity to send some of the people home that I call rhinos and establishment people. It's time for them to go. And I think that there is going to be such a huge turnout, and you can primary those people. And I think we're going to have a big day coming up with midterm elections.
And once you get there, Mike, I mean, I think major problem Republicans have is that they're always on defense. They're never on offense. You see some real offensive leaders around the country. I think no one is a better example than Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida. But we're talking about national Republicans in the District of Columbia. They react to everything. They react to headlines. They react to legislation. Is there something that if you are elected and you get there, is there something that you will be your champion issue?
Well, and I tell folks ask me that all the time. I'd be perfectly honest. I'd be glad if everybody just cut the lights off there and went home and didn't do
True
anything else.
conservative.
Get out of the way. But I think over the next 12 to 18 months, we have to look to see how bad the Democrats are going to destroy this economy. What are they going to shove down our throats that we're going to have to reverse? Be it tax increases or the estate tax that they're looking to do on estimated gains. Where are they going to put the corporate tax, the individual income tax? It is a proven fact that less taxes yield more revenue.
Yeah.
That's just one side of the equation. The other side of the equation that we have got to tackle is the fact that on an average year, we spend around $4.8 trillion up there. too much, but that's what they're spending on average. We're not taking anywhere near 4 trillion in taxes. So you've got to lower what your spending is. You lower that tax rate, and that's the Sam Walton theory. You sell it cheaper, and you'll sell a lot more. Walmart's done a good job with that. You'll bring in more revenue.
We just went over that. It wasn't that long ago, the Congressional Budget Office, and it's amazing because really the point was to go over how the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was covered. All of the scenarios you would read about in the New York Times, the CBO budget projections, and none of it ever comes to fruition because what you just said is really there's a Goldilocks zone, but what you just said was true. Reducing the tax rate, especially corporate tax rate, increases revenue. And it's just amazing the CBO 2.5, 3 years later starts to give in on their original projection, and now we come full circle all of these years later to where they just say, actually, it helped the deficit. It didn't add to it at all. It helped it, which is ridiculous.
Well, and I'll go back to my original statement and what I just said. You've got a lot of Republicans up there that like to spend your money.
Yeah.
They spend it just as good as the Democrats. And that's the ones you got to focus on in the elections. You need good, solid, conservative business people up there that'll run that place like a business and not run it off the seat of their britches with an open checkbook where every time you turn around, you've got nothing more than an omnibus bill going through. And then, oh, by the way, we got to raise the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
That's got to stop. Pass a budget. Pass the appropriation bills to fund the budget, lower that budget, lower your taxes, and you'll fix this problem. This is not rocket science.
You know,
folks out there in the real world, they do this every day. We do it every day or we wouldn't make payroll.
A big problem Republicans have, though, is getting that message across. That has always been a problem of a biased media. Now it's gone beyond bias, and they have, and this is one of the main, I can see it in the chat rooms on Locals, everybody wants me to ask about big tech here. Well, it was difficult enough to have a regular political discussion or an election for that matter when you had a media who slanted things or handicapped for the Democrats. Now it's beyond that. I don't even think it is bias. It's an ideological corruption, and the media now has the help of social media to censor people. And I've been a victim of this myself. If it wasn't for Tucker Carlson, I wouldn't even have a Twitter account right now. So, I mean, he had me on and helped draw attention to I just decided to discuss something they didn't want me to talk about. And our polling, I guess. And they just did. One day I was sitting home and I was gone. So what can Republicans do? I know it's always reluctant to use legislation, or government power to address, the grievance like this. But what can be done or should be done about this? Because it's beyond.
That social media, that at some point they're going to have to be broke up. But I really don't care what the social media crowd says. I don't care what the fake news media says about me. I really don't care. And the reason I say that is because you really can't cancel me. And you cannot cancel the amount of people that I am seeing out there today that are with us. I even liken this is not a campaign anymore. This is a movement. And they can try to cancel all of us. That's fine. I'm going with a specific agenda to Washington, D.C. And that's it. I'm not your management guy. If you're looking for the guy to go up there and have dinners every night and kiss babies and do that, that's not me. I'm your guy that you bring in. I fix problems. I build businesses, and then I push it to somebody else to run it every day. And right now, that's the type of people we need. And right now, we have such an opportunity to put those type of people in place. And that's what's going to happen. I firmly believe that. And we'll pass legislation. I'm not worried about those folks. I was here before they were. I'll be here when they're long gone.
I mean, some of that censorship backfires. It does. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I never had more followers than when they did that to me. I mean, they made me, or they help make me on Twitter by putting that attention on me. You know, and eventually it can have the opposite effect of what they're trying to have. But you're basically saying eventually these people this has to be broken up. They simply cannot have all of this power.
Well, when you keep interfering with people's First Amendment rights, that and they're getting away with it because you've got a federal government that lets them get away with it, because it is a systematic process. This has been going on for years. They're just one more notch in the belt. But this systematic process has been going on since we had social services, to where you actually depend on the government for everything. You know, we've moved from our dependence and our faith on God to where now even what you say, what you're saying, even what you put out in public, is it going to be censored? Am I going to have to worry about what I'm saying? And that's the government doing that to you. That's the government, right down to CRT, mask mandates, vaccine mandates. That is the government taking a position that we are going to tell you what's best for you. We are going to tell you what's best for your kids. And oh, by the way, we're going to teach your kids to look to us, because we're going to divide every one of them. And then we're going to come in on the white horse, the knight on the white horse. And the kids are going to get conditioned to where, well, what does the government want me to think? We're at a crossroads on this one.
Create a problem
and it's time. Yes.
Right,
and it's just
Oh, go ahead, finish your thought. They're just telling me I got another question.
No,
but, go ahead.
No, it's just another notch to where they can get you to submit to what they want, the government wants you to do and be, from cradle to grave.
This one's an on the spot one here, Mike. I got to be honest with you, but it is. Look, I just put it up before you came on. The voters, even in the party, don't like the leadership. So basically, would you commit? What would you support Kevin McCarthy or not for Speaker? That's the crux of the question.
I'm glad somebody asked that. I have been on record, and I'll tell you, I am not voting for Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. It is, and he may be a good man, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is time to change the direction. It's time for new blood.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll liken it to this. And you know what? If they don't want to put me on any committees, I'm fine with that, because I'll make a heck of a teammate for Marjorie Taylor Greene. She doesn't need any. As a matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. I think that you can change the entire composition of Congress, because so many people are so worried about committee assignments that they vote to ensure they get a committee assignment.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about that either. That's not why I'm going up there. And I think there's going to be enough people that understand what Congressman Greene has been doing and how she has been doing such a great job. And she doesn't have a committee. She doesn't need one. And I've heard her recently say she wouldn't take one. She doesn't need it. Her messages are getting out, and she's getting through to the people.
Yeah, those committee assignments come with a price.
They do.
The entire seniority. I mean, that's currency in DC for the folks at at home who don't know that. That's their currency. Leadership is seniority. But you just said he may be a good man, he may not be. Let me just read you these numbers: 8.8% very favorable, 17.9% favorable. How could you possibly be an effective leader, Mike, with numbers like this?
I think everybody can answer their own question on that.
Yeah,
you can't.
It's not possible.
I'll put it this way. I've got two sons that are 28, and we've got twins. And 2 years ago, they've been down there working for over 6 years. But 2 years ago, I broke up all my duties. And about a year ago, I split it between the two of them. And a little over a year ago, they run our day-to-day operations 100%. And I'm 54 years old. Now I look at things a little bit different. You know, where do I want to take that company? Maybe not a whole lot much further, but you know what? There's new blood in those seats. And those guys are hungry and they're looking to make it work. And that's what I think we need up there. It's time to put some new people into positions and run with it. And I'm telling you, I just see it out there every day. It is encouraging. When we get through speaking, it is so encouraging the amount of people that come up to us. Finally, finally, we got a fighter. Finally, we got somebody that's
Yeah.
speaking our language. And the reason I know I'm speaking the right language is because Donald Trump was speaking my language 4 years ago. When I saw him, I jumped on the bandwagon when the Trumps trained way before he was a nominee because I had the
Yeah.
opportunity to see him, and that businessman understood what it was going to take to get this country on the right track.
You know, the Pundit class mocked the you know the fighter element to his appeal, and
Hmm.
that is the number one reason I think people wanted to support him, and now going forward, we hear it all the time. You know, they can take an issue here and there they don't agree with you on, as long as they know you're going to fight for their way of life and they know
That's
where
it.
you stand. They'll support you, and they'll support you forever. You know, which is incredible because it's so far and few between. There's so
It is.
many people who are not willing to do that. You become a rarity when you are, and they cherish you for it. I mean, it's incredible. It really is. It's amazing. Yeah, I wanted to give you, because of the audio in the beginning. I went over a little bit. I wanted to give a little bit more time because of the audio. I have to apologize for that. Got it squared away, which is good. But I guess give people what is generally your closing argument. You know, I'm looking at you said there could be a red wave. I know a lot of people. That's history. History tells us Joe Biden and his party are in for a thumping. But you never want to You never want to put it past Republicans to snatch defeat from the hands of victory, because they're so good at doing that and have been forever. But I guess that's probably why you're going to see, like in your case, which I didn't hear about Jody. That probably will not be the last one. So I guess twofold. One, you think that's why we're seeing some of these people retire. They don't want to be primaried, and then because not the only one, that's for sure. And then two, give people your closing argument, I guess, as to why they should support you.
Well, I tell you what, if I could do a shameless plug, I'd love to.
Go ahead.
If you want to know all the issues that I stand for, you can go to MikeCollinsGA.com. That's our website, and that'll get you all across all those social media platforms. And as a matter of fact, we do a video almost every day on something. But if you are looking,
I
and
noticed
I
that. I did
honestly,
see that. I did. When I went to visit the website,
I,
I saw that. A lot of information.
I honestly believe that the people that you're going to send to Washington in the midterm elections are going to have to be warriors. They're going to have to be soldiers. They're going to have to be people that are willing to put everything on the line. I mean, that's put it all out there, because you're going to get attacked. You're going to get attacked from the left and the right. And you better have people that have the confidence to understand that they don't need it. You're going up there. You're going up there for an agenda. You're not going up there to get along. I'm sorry, I don't have to get along with anybody. And then when I get through, I'll come on back home. I'm a term limits believer, 6 years, and then I'll be done. And I'll come on back to Georgia. But if you're looking for a God-fearing, good Christian conservative business person to go to Washington, straighten out this mess, then I encourage you. If you have the ability, help us, because I need your help. I'd love to have your financial support. If you live in the 10th district of Georgia, I would love to have your support and your vote. Because, folks, I can go to Washington and I can fix these problems, and we will take our country back. And I appreciate y'all having me on. I do. I enjoy talking about our campaign.
Yeah, and we can have you back. I'd like to have you back on and check up on, see how things are going. I've been looking around the country, and I think I got to tell you, I'm starting to sense a bubble beneath the surface here, and so we'll keep track of you and see how things are going. Again, yeah, sorry about the audio issues. Make sure that doesn't happen next time. But come back and join us again soon, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
All the best. All right, folks. Mike.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. There's rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love, because you're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spare for a night, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
All right, and now we should be back. And we are. All right. I think I figured this out. It's just annoying. Really annoying.
Yeah, the overlay.
And people can hear you. Yeah, it's all right. We won't overlay it. Listen, though, I just wanted to say this because I was off when I went to before. The man, and you guys may like history like I like history. Some people who have gone to Congress and done amazing things and had huge impacts were loathed by other people, other members, leadership. Some of them even became leaders themselves. The 13th Amendment, all right? Perfect example. Everybody hated that guy, even the Republican Party. I don't know when it became about being popular. Actually, I do. The 16th and the 17th Amendments made being a national lawmaker a career. And we know that from average tenure. And there's really no other way to remove that other than outright repeal or term limits, which is why so many people do propose term limits, which I'm not sure I, agree with. I think there may just be better ways to do it, but it is what it is. All right, look, in the interest, I'm really thinking of, and I know Don's waiting in the wings, I'm really thinking of moving this over to locals so we can have, one, an honest conversation, and two, a conversation I don't have to worry about this with. All right? So I'm thinking that's probably the best bet. And plus, I can follow your comments, which I cannot do when I'm doing this here right now. I hope I got to enough comments that you guys asked or questions that you guys asked. And I didn't even know Jody was out, I guess. I'm not really following that. We've been so busy. But before we go, let me just give everybody, because not everybody has access to the full crosstabs yet. California is close. Really close. And there's one thing I think, and I'm going to say this as clear as I possibly can. There is one thing that I believe is keeping no from pulling into the lead. That is a group of independents. I wouldn't say liberal Republicans. I think bottom line, those people, they're not really, they're Republicans in name only at this point right now. And there's like 8% maybe something, but they're not what, or who Republicans should be targeting to persuade. There is a group of independents, and they typically lean pretty hard to the left in California. There's about 16% of Democrats who are going to vote yes. There are some more who would want to vote yes, but there is a fear. This is a Republican branding problem. People don't like the Republican name in California, and that's their fault. All right? All right. Laura's suggesting that when we do go over to locals, we make it for everybody, even people who aren't local supporters. That's totally fine with me. We can do that. So if you're a YouTube watcher right now and you see me put it out there, you'll be able to watch when normally you're not. So that's cool. That's fine with me. But I do want to just keep going with my thought here. The Republican brand in California is bad. So people want to vote Newsom out, but they're like, there's no alternative to Newsom that is a Democrat. And I'm afraid Republicans are going to win the governor's mansion based on like a technicality. And how do we know that? We ask them. And you can cross those people who either agree or strongly disagree with the vote for the recall. And it's clear. There's also one thing that could sink Newsom. Yeah, I think it is helping the recall effort, but they're a little bit all over the map. Some people want to talk about education. Some people want to talk about the economy. Some people want to talk about lockdowns. What do these voters who are independent, even liberal, what do they care about that's making them want to vote Newsom out? He's an elitist. He did not follow his own rules. Rules for thee, but not for me. That is the one and only area where we found widespread agreement. Widespread. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, liberals, moderates, conservatives, working class, professional class. And of course, there were some professional class who did disagree because the rules were there for not them either, So bottom line is, that is the issue that is making voters want to toss out Newsom. That, and he really hasn't done much on equality. Cost of living. So if you're going to walk and chew gum at the same time, he's an elitist, and it costs too damn much to live in this state. All right? That's it. That's the message. I don't know why you didn't have this figured out a month ago, 2 months ago, but that's the message. He's an elitist who wants different rules for himself then he's going to impose on you, and it costs too damn much to live in this state. When asked specifically, it is housing. Gas prices are close, second and third are pretty much tied. Housing took like half of cost of living. And the rest was gas taxes and state taxes were very close, 2 and 3. Not close to 1, close to each other. So, I mean, cost of living is a very broad but easy pitch to make. That's very simple. The man thinks he's the damn king. He thinks he's better than you. He thinks he's better than you. You have to live by rules. He does not.
Mm-hmm.
He's better than you. His kids go to better schools. His family, they eat at better restaurants that you're not even allowed to go to. And by the way, you couldn't go even if you were allowed because you can't afford it. Because the housing in this damn state is ridiculous. That's it. Look, there's my free advice. All right? I mean, if you guys have on locals right now, I wish I could share this with you. You know what? I'm going to take this risk real quick and just read this to people.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Most important issue, what could save him, like I said, is this feeling that people don't want a Republican in the governor's mansion. But also coronavirus is starting to creep up a little bit. Here's the problem with that. About 20%, or actually 20%, about 36% that pick coronavirus, they're worried about more lockdowns. So they didn't pick coronavirus because they want more lockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
All right? But cost of living is number one, followed by coronavirus, a couple of points behind. And about 2.5 points behind that, homelessness. Then the economy is fourth. Immigration is fifth. The environment and crime, 6th and 7th. Corruption, 8th. Healthcare, 9th. Education, dead last. Dead last. Even though Republicans spent so much money and time talking about this issue, it turned out to be dead last. All right. Newsom's approval is a little over 50. Not much at all. White voters are extremely more likely. Not even close. 80+% of white voters say they're going to vote. About 53% of Hispanics say they're going to vote. And black voters are in the 60s. Interestingly enough, Larry Elder could win the black vote just because there are so many people on the ballot. Nobody is getting a share of the black vote like Larry Elder is.
Yeah.
He is the only one taking double digits of black vote. The rest is just sporadically dispersed among the other candidates. Larry Elder is in the lead. All right, I'm just trying to give YouTubers some general thing here. There is no Democratic candidate where we saw any consolidation. Kevin Pathrath, I know that he was doing well in the Survey USA poll. We have him at... Give me a second. Just remember, it's low single digits. 3.7. All right? When we give... we're going to give a different result, even though people have the crosstabs now. They're looking at everything. You may have noticed that there's still a very large undecided number, but look at leave blank. 21% said they were going to leave this blank. What does that mean? It means Larry Elder is no longer at 15%. He's closer to 20. It means John Cox is no longer 5.8. He's closer to 7. You know what I mean? All right, because when we get rid of that, Doug Osee, a farmer and small businessman, suffered from, he's doing well, but apparently uncovered some heart condition, I think, some medical issue, and he's out. So we didn't find that much for him anyway, about a point. All right, so maybe I was worried for a while that would have affected the outcome, but, look, going less than a point, not really. Yeah, so John Cox is the closest one to Larry Elder at 5%. Holly Bede, I think it may have been a survey design issue. We had her at 6%, and I think that may have been because we were led to believe of a different order. We gave voters alphabetical order, grouped and given with ballot designation. And in the end, apparently, it's going to be random. All right. The Bay Area. Newsom's doing well in the Bay Area. Not surprised to see that. Very surprised to see his extreme weakness in LA County. And LA County may not vote as strong as he needs them to, although I've learned my lesson. I have seen in the past where LA was going to be like 22% of the vote, and then in the end they become 24, 25% anyway. So even though they're telling us they're not that likely to vote, we're still going to assume they're going to be 24%. All right. What else here? Region detail. That number in San Diego, those are all Republicans saying they're not decided. So where do you think that number is going to go? That will be probably 58%. All right. Orange County, same thing. Right now, it's a 10-point. Yes is winning in Orange County by 10 points. That was less than I thought, but go and look at the undecideds there. Big number of undecideds in Los Angeles. I think it's more or less about whether those people will vote. All right. Whereas the Bay Area, Gavin Newsom is doing very well in the Bay Area, so shouldn't surprise you. Inland Empire, 20 points, throw them out. You know, it is what it is. Central Coast, though, is only about 10% of the vote, 8% maybe in a midterm. They're 53 keep, 37.5 remove. Central Valley, 46 remove, 40 keep. Look, and 14% undecided. I think Central Valley's going to vote pretty heavily to get rid of him. Why? Because we're looking at other districts in detail that are in the Valley, and they're much bigger than 5 points. Some of them are 10 points. Some of them are 8. Some of them are 15. All right, so they're actually bigger samples when we look at them district by district. All right, so let's do that. Let's take a quick 5 minutes and move this over to locals.
Yeah, so it gives people time to sign up for the
It gives people
free
time.
version. And so this is what I was thinking.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm
What-
just spitballing here.
Just make it
So Wednesday and Fridays, I think that the later half should be free,
Q&A on locals.
free to everybody because of the
I know you're
fact
going
that
with this.
it's Wednesday and Friday, and it's what we usually do. And then, of course, our locals paid members, you guys get extra access
Q&A.
to us. So you get the specialty treatment where
The Q&A.
and
Yeah.
we do the live streams, and then we do the
I agree.
the Zoom meetings. Those are for our paid members.
Yeah.
So it's still, you get the free treatment.
And
you still
YouTube's
special
get some
treatment,
content.
and
Yep.
then because they would have listened to us on YouTube, so that's how I see it. Do you know?
Yeah, and like I said before, I really like the Morrow model. She deserves credit.
Yeah,
you know?
should. It should
And
be
also-
called tomorrow.
And also, we're going to figure out this Rumble thing. They now have live streaming. The reason why we didn't go to Rumble all that much, except for a few clips, is because they didn't have a migration system to take all the episodes that were on YouTube and put them on a Rumble. They didn't have that. And then also, they really didn't have live streaming, not like us. We're a 2-hour show.
Mhm.
It's at least 3 days a week. So they have different tiers and then storage. Well, storage for 2-hour shows racks up quick. So we'll see. But we'll figure it out this weekend. All right. So with that, we'll see how we can move over to locals. I don't know how we could bring Don on, though, on locals. I'm not sure.
Ooh, we got to figure that out real fast. You
Yeah.
have to be able to have a guest on.
No, not unless the virtual camera is rocking. So I could take a shot at the virtual camera here.
Let's play with it with Don. And
Unless Locals is willing to do a Q&A while we do some testing. Is that cool with you guys?
Oh, I'm
And
sure
they have the crosstabs. So it's not like they need me to go through them on the screen.
mm-hmm.
They have them. They can look through them and ask them. I gave everybody a general idea. Hold on. There's one more thing I want to show YouTube. Hold on. YouTube. Likelihood of second civil war by party, which is interesting. Let's get rid of this. All right. Next, we'd like to get your overall opinion. Oops, that's the wrong one. That one's on. There we go. How likely is it the United States of America is headed for another civil war or widespread political violence that leads to significant division? Orange is total. You guys can see it this time, so I don't have to go on and on. There seems to be a bipartisan belief, they are in agreement, that we're going to kill each other. Finally, America agrees on something. They're going to agree. They're going to agree on something like this. And that's actually not true. You know what? Americans agree where COVID came from. They agree we need election integrity reform. And they agree that that looks more like what we say it is than what the media says it is. So it's not that we don't agree on these issues. We do. They just don't, they're not reported as if we do, even though we very much do. All right, you know what? Maybe locals would be willing to like hang tight. I don't think we could bring Don on without on locals. Let's try to get Don on here before we move to locals real quick.
Okay.
Okay?
I see what you're saying.
All right. Let's. His interview is supposed to be 2 minutes from now anyway. He's going to join us. So let's just take a second. All right. I'll play around with the microphones, folks. We'll do what we got to do. I'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll bring on Don, and there will be. I'm not supposed to say anything, but there will be a very easy way for Don and I, not Don and outside people, because Don's on locals too. Don Smith, Don Smith Show, .locals.com. Don's on locals too, so he'll be able to do it with us, but it's just not out yet. All right. So, like we had to wait for live streaming, just be patient. They got this.
They're just playing catch
They
up.
got this. All right. And then it won't even. The only thing we'll have to worry about is how we interview people on locals. Just.
Yeah. That's
You know,
something
it's
we're
like
gonna have to worry
really weird, guys. As I'm looking, I'm ready to do the locals. I scheduled the live stream. I'm waiting. I see the countdown clock. I see it right in the browser. Wirecast virtual camera. You hit stream. It refreshes.
Yes.
And goes back to the other setting.
Isn't that something?
I'll tell you what it is. It's freaking frustrating.
Oh, I know. You're preaching to the choir over here.
You know, and I did also want to, before the break, I will be speaking at the Hillsdale Leadership Summit in February. All right? And I know some of you people went to go see Robert. I know some of you people saw Robert's speech. So if you're like if you guys go to those events, you know, get ready, because here I come. And I'll be talking about whether polling is even relevant in the modern age anymore, considering how badly it's done. And I think some of you might say no, want to say no. No, you know what? It's not. You guys can't be trusted anymore. You manipulate instead of report. And I'm going to address that. Because I, for one, still believe in Gallup's vision. George. I don't know about the thing right now. All right, so let's take a real quick break. Try to get Don on. And then we'll head over to locals.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that sounds like a cool idea.
All right, we'll take, what, 2 minutes, 46 seconds? Bad habit?
2
2
minutes.
minutes, 46 seconds?
And how many milliseconds?
246? 246? And how many milliseconds? 0.0003.
I don't know, but I gotta go find this.
All right. All right, we'll be back, folks. I don't know why it was working.
How much you wanna open that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love, because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
We can get on a plane and take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a night, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
I can. Yes. I can.
Now they can hear me. Correct? And Don, you can still hear me.
I can.
All right. A freaking men. Oh, what a lovely nightmare this has been. All right. So Don, overall, did you know Jody Heiss wasn't running?
Yeah.
You did? How the
Mhm.
hell? I've been face first in polling, man. That I didn't even know that. How long has that announcement been?
That's been a while. So yeah, I had a little bit of back and forth with Mike's campaign. Obviously, I met
Oh,
him
that's why you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got to tell you, overall impression that I think Republicans, there's a lot of people in that race, which is good for someone like Mike Collins.
Mhm.
And I do believe that. And generally speaking, the more people, when you're trying to run an insurgent candidate, the better. We saw that with Donald Trump. It's a perfect example. And I think that there's just going to be a chunk of Republican voters who want someone to fight, man. Someone to fight for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, and I believe he is that guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he was. So I mean, we had a great CPAC, obviously. I mean, this is the Vernon Jones and the Alan West and Scott Walker, but then you meet a guy like Mike Collins, and it's like, hey, right away, I knew he was a great candidate. So the issue he's going to have there is it's all going to come down to money in this case, because he does have some opponents in the primary who are well funded at this point. One of them's self-funded, but still well funded. but it's not all about money. I mean, it's about how you use that money and getting yourself out there. I think that's the biggest thing. So it was great to see him on your show today, and he needs to do more of that. Get out there. I know he's out there in the community, and that's all good for the vote side of it. But yeah, I think the financial thing will be his biggest challenge. But yeah, I think he's a great candidate for sure.
Yeah, it's just reality of the game. Yeah. You need money to run. Yep. You need money to compete. That is why David Giglio, who we also had on, in California 16, look, folks, the California GOP, the National Republican Party, they'll tell you what they'll tell you publicly. They had other plans for California 16. And when you raise money like David did, I mean, boom, $250,000, first quarter. What do you think about that? Suckers! Then they're like, oh, man, we actually got to pay attention to this guy. That's how it works. And believe me, they would have had other thoughts if he didn't raise that kind of money. It's a very important, it's just a sad reality of the game. Donald Trump was totally different in 16. He was well known, like, ridiculous name ID already. So made it easier. But,
It's funny when you watch this and you've been involved, like you and I have both been involved with campaigns, and you watch, so you see these people come out of kind of nowhere almost, and the money, I'm talking the money side of it, but you've also got to be able to put that out there to where, like you just said, the name recognition is really important. There's a Senate race out in California, which usually for Republicans, I mean, that's usually a no-win situation, but there's Elizabeth Heng, if anybody hasn't checked her out yet. Great story. Refugees from Cambodia. I mean, just an amazing story. Loves America, as a lot of people do, who have come from other places where they're not free, and they crave that freedom. But you've also, so the money part is there. I mean, I believe she raised over $1 million already, just right out of the gate. But you got to get that message out there too. So it's a twofold thing, because people have to know who you are on election day. But you've got to have the money too to be able to put that out. So it's that's why I think I said it in the chat earlier. I said, you have to have a great candidate. It's got to start there. You've got to have somebody bold. And I think Mike is that.
He's bold.
You've also got to have a great team around you that understands how to position things and get yourself out there and get your message out there. And so it's a whole package thing. And that Donald Trump had that in 2016. He had the whole package.
Yeah, while we're on California, because I know you're a veteran, I'm a veteran, I definitely want to talk about Afghanistan. And you were just talking about that candidate as an amazing story. I saw Carl Higbee filling in yesterday on Newsmax. He's a former Navy SEAL, now he's in the media. And he had on Johnny Walker, who was, that's the code name for, because they don't want to butcher his real name. That's the code name for his interpreter. My neighbors and I talking about interpreters and how we screw them over all the time. And, it's a job I would hate to be, Joe Kent. He was on an ODA. He knows. You go and look these people in the eye and you tell them, stand with me. I will teach you how to fight, and I will fight by you side by side and together against these and we will not we will not abandon you. And I'm not saying, Don, that there's 100,000 Afghan allies. I don't believe that for a second. All right? Anybody who believes that doesn't know the situation. There are, though, people that deserve to be saved, and at this point, I know, there's no way to save these people now. Right. All right, the people they're stuffing on a plane, the planes they can, are just random people. There's no way at this point to go through. Taliban's got names, they got addresses, they're going door to door, and tragically, many of these people are not going to get out. And we're going to have what are show refugees, Don. They're going to be, look, we got these people out, and they're not the right ones. That's they're going to be the case. How dare Joni Ernst? Did you see that? You think Iowans want that? Look, you tell me this interpreter needs to come back with us. He helped us. She helped. Fine. But don't tell me 40,000 refugees in Iowa are all interpreters, all allies, all spies. Bull, bro. Bull.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, this whole thing is this is the biggest military
Debacle.
debacle that I've ever seen. I mean,
In
I
my
go back.
life.
You can go back to Jimmy Carter and the
That's
attempted
nothing.
rescue of the hostages, but not at least he did something. I mean, I got to give him some credit for that. As bungled as that was, this is on a scale never before seen.
Yeah.
We had General Paul Valley on last night for half an hour talking about. So he talked about this from a leadership position, from somebody who used to lead the troops and would have been that ground general. And it was just tomorrow. We've got Mark Osgeist on the program. This is a guy who understands about getting left behind. He's the Benghazi. He was part of the security force, saved like 19 lives there when that was all going down. So these people understand all this stuff from a level. I mean, we did our job in the military, but these guys understand it from a completely different perspective. And so it was great to talk to Paul Valley, but also I can't wait to talk to Mark Geist tomorrow, because this is just it is so bad. And I think most conservatives, probably most people watching right now, knew this was going to be bad, but did not this bad, not this fast, nothing on this kind of scale. So this is horrific what we're watching. I just want to say one last thing. You see the picture of these people leaving on that C-17, right? So everybody saw that, the people hanging off the side of it. But look at the picture on the inside. So kind of to what you were talking about there. How did they vet these people? It was complete, absolute chaos. How do you possibly know who 680 people I think were on that plane? How do you know who these people are? We've got a wide open southern border. You think the Taliban's not smart enough to go, we can get as many people as we want in over that southern border. They'll welcome it. They'll usher us in. So this is just starting. This is just starting.
Yep. Yeah. And, I guess I didn't want to go to Afghanistan too. There's more I want to talk about. But while we're on it, we were talking about California. Real close race out there. Yeah. You and I have talked about the importance of branding and the identity of a party. We have spoken about this ad nauseum. And what did we find in this poll? Gavin Newsom would be gone if Republicans were viewed a little better in that state. This is not a matter of whether they like him or not. It's a matter of whether they can trust Republicans to hold the governor's mansion. And Larry Elder's way ahead. There's nobody even close to him. But there is 21% who are going to leave it blank because they don't want to entertain even giving someone else the mansion. And then there's another 20% that are undecided. Even if that gets divided, among a bunch of people, at this point, to me, it's whether yes wins, not whether Larry Elder will get the most votes.
Yeah, the way that people will gain trust as a Republican out in California or anywhere in this country for that matter, but let's use California because that's the biggest challenge for any Republican, is the boldness. So I talk about that a lot. You've got to be bold with your message, not just to show your conviction for it, but just so people actually understand, okay, this is who this person is. This is what they stand for. So the boldness is so important. And there are so many issues. I saw your polling data earlier, and it's amazing stuff. But look at the education. If the GOP, if the Republican Party knew how to message this, and it's so easy, it's right there. Easy. It's so easy. If they would message this properly, that would be completely different. Those results would. Look at the people ready to stand up and fight right now against the CRT and all these different things we see in the classrooms, but they can't even put that together. So if you want to be bold, do it, get your message out there. It's like I said earlier, it's a package deal. It's not just having a great candidate. It's not just having this. It's not just having money. It's all of those things together. And it's not really that complicated. So I don't know. I mean, maybe someday we'll get it. The leadership, people talk about the leadership. The leadership's not going to change until you have more bold people in there and they're forced to be bold themselves. Right now, they're not. They can be wishy-washy. They can be the Kevin McCarthy's who flip-flop from day to day, and one day they're chastising us. And no, that's not how this happens. But if we get more people in there that are bold, that have a good message, that get it, that just know how to talk to people, we'll be in good shape. But the leadership doesn't have to change right now.
Yeah, I sadly think you're right. Those 19 senators, that consistently feel that they have to bail Joe Biden out,
Mhm.
they're not listening.
Mm-mm.
And they have no incentive to listen whatsoever.
Mhm.
Everybody took a hit this month. McConnell, McCarthy, Pelosi. Pelosi's really looking bad this month. She's always looking bad, but we've actually seen her tighten sometime. Now, never popular, but maybe the views really start to get.
Mhm.
We really like her on the left. We really hate her everywhere else. She's starting to look more like Mitch McConnell, but still, she cannot overtake the undisputed champion of unfavorables, Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
And it's sad, man, because it's not. How could you be effective as a leader at all if that's what
Mhm.
people think of you? And at least Chuck Schumer in the Senate for the Democrats, he's not like badly hated with intensity and his own voters like him. And that is why that's the
Yep.
difference.
Yep.
Mitch McConnell's very favorable rating with the Republicans this month, 6%, right? 6? It's bad. You got, I mean, I don't even know what to say to that, Don. I don't even know what to say to it.
Here's Pelosi's reality right now. Here's what's happening because her whole world is crumbling. Power, money, and votes. I always say that.
Yeah.
I get that from Nancy Pelosi. So as much of a nutter as she is, she's not stupid. She is
Yeah.
very, very good at controlling the process, controlling her party, because she understands all these things. We were already looking, in my view, and you and I have talked about this. I think we both agree. We were looking at a very favorable time for Republicans going into the midterms. This is 100 times now because of what's going on right now. Because they don't look powerful. The voters are not with them, so the money is slowing down too. So Nancy Pelosi gets this. So I think you're going to see some things out of Pelosi pushing forward here that are going to be pushing back against Joe Biden because they don't buy any of this. They don't buy all the stuff that he's saying. That when one day they plan for every contingency, and then the next day, they didn't have any idea this could ever happen. And then the next day on George Snuffleupagus, then he says, "Well, it was kind of baked into the cake. We knew that." So he is all over the place. This is really bad for the party, which means it's really bad for Nancy Pelosi because she's the captain of that ship. So again, she's a nutter, but she's smart. She gets the process. She knows exactly the things I'm talking about where you got to have the whole package. She knows that. And that has been blown apart over just the last week.
Yeah, I think it's time on the next public polling project to add a generic ballot. I do. I think we're at this point now where people are really paying attention. And I think, of course, it's going to change. We're going to have, different ballot results from here to there. But I want to see, because you're saying, right, what you're saying is true. Right now, they would probably get killed. The Democrats I'm talking about. If we had candidates, they would lose the House. And I want to know right now that it's this bad, what is it? And then do Republicans squander that as time goes on? So I think even though it's true that early polling doesn't have much predictive value, it's good to at least try to track the mood of the electorate. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And this is the time to capitalize on all this stuff. I mean, okay, not to get off the subject here, but what happened yesterday where the administration comes out and they're threatening now hospitals. So they're threatening hospitals because everybody needs to be vaccinated. And if you're not vaccinated, they are threatening to withhold federal dollars, Medicare, Medicaid, GOP. Pounce all over this because for my entire life, we've been the party that's going to take away your Medicare and your Medicaid and your Social Security. And we want everybody to die and granny off the cliff and jump all over this because that's not going to be popular with anybody because it just doesn't impact the hospital or the nurses or the doctors. It's the patient who uses Medicare. And the hospitals are just going to say, "Oh, well, we're not going to take that anymore." Then you're screwed. So anybody, Obamacare, remember the Obamacare debate, why we don't want the government in charge of our health care? Hello. So jump all over it, GOP. Sadly, they won't.
No.
We've seen this. We've seen the movie before.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit with Mike Collins too, which is this defensive posture. that they have toward the media, toward legislation. You don't know how to write a bill? You don't have... I mean, really, Don? This is ridiculous. And they react to everything instead of being proactive. And I do see what he's saying, that it's, I just assume all the lights go off and nobody do anything. I get that. I do. But at the same time, you have to counter. And I think he addressed that, which is by the time, if we win the House, by the time we get there, what we're going to have to undo. How, forget about adding new things. We're at a point now, how much are we going to have to undo before we can address being proactive?
And who's going to be the one driving the train? That is the most important part of this, because we have the House. We had the House.
That's
and what did we do? We had the Senate. And what did we do? So you've got to have somebody drive. That was the thing about Trump. He drove that train. He was in charge. Hop on or get out of my way was his thing. We need somebody like that in a position of leadership, and we just don't have it.
What do you think of his rally coming up this weekend? Wise. What do you think? He is the first former president ever to call on his successor to resign.
Yes. He is. So, Trump's going to be Trump.
He's going to be Trump.
What was the book? The Lewandowski and David
Let
Bossie,
Trump be Trump.
Let Trump be Trump. And because nobody's going to stop him. You remember when I had Sean Spicer on, and I was like, what's it like as a messaging guy? Because you don't get to go, okay, Mr. Trump, here's what you're going to say. No, he says it, and then you react to it. And so it was like he totally reversed the whole process, the whole normality of how that stuff works. So I think it's bold, and I love that he's still Trump. But I do have some concerns. Does this get in the way of, does somehow it hurt us in the midterms? And I hope it doesn't. I mean, I really hope it doesn't. But I do have some reservations about some of that.
To me, it really depends on who he's going to be. All right? It really does, guys. I mean, what is he going to say? What's he going to talk about? Is it going to be lamenting about, me, and this and that? Because if it is, it's not helpful. It's just not. Americans are forward thinkers. Even conservatives, they want to talk about what's either happening right now or what they think is coming in the future, what's coming at them. Life comes at you fast, that old saying.
Solutions. They're craving solutions.
Yeah, they crave solutions. They want to hear, what are you going to do for me? And they do not like people, or like it when people lament on themselves.
You just perfectly nailed it. That's it. Does he come out? Is it about him, or is it about taking back the House? Because if it's about him, it has nothing to do with taking back the House or the Senate or any other Republican running. So does he suck all the oxygen out of the room, or does he project? He's a messenger. He gets the whole message thing. So if he can put that out there and make it about the importance of the midterms, then it's fantastic. If he comes out like you said, and it's me, that's not helpful. So that is exactly, you just encapsulated my concern.
Yeah, I gotta say, nobody can drive turnout like Donald J. Trump. There's no doubt. I mean, he's a benefit there. I don't know that they'll have anybody who can do that for a while. So it behooves them to keep him at least around in that capacity, but at that same time, it's a juggling act. It really is. Basically, he can sink or swim the whole damn thing.
He can. Yeah,
he
really
single-handedly saved that Senate in 2018. He did. They probably would have lost more seats in the House. Look, that was not a strong victory in 18. They're like, oh, it's a blue wave. No, it wasn't. You didn't win any local elections. You put up the worst performance for a challenging party since JFK. I mean, Republicans did the best for a first-term incumbent midterm since 1962. You're kidding me. I mean, this is not a wave. One more seat. If McSally would have held on, it would have been FDR. You would have had to go back to FDR when an incumbent party was able to hold back the insurgent midterm. And in the House it was weak, man. That was a slightly less than average House turnover.
And look at the Senate. I mean, okay, so without what happened with the special election in Georgia, which, and you know this, we've talked
to Mike about it. Republicans lost those races. Democrats didn't win them.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, we could have hung on to the Senate, and yeah, you're right about the House as well. So yeah, I mean, the blue wave, that was such a joke. It was the tidal wave. It was barely a ripple.
Just
splash. Historically. Yeah, historically, and you know the numbers on that it was a horrible performance for Democrats, really.
And yet, the so-called election experts like Larry, Sabato, however you say it, and he who should not be named on this channel, and others, they all pretended as if a midterm performance was predictive of an incumbent presidential re-election campaign, which was double dishonest. So we know this is not a wave. And secondly, we know that even waves have no predictive value when it comes to the incumbent getting reelected. Mm-hmm. Yet that was part of a giant social desirability bias campaign targeting women. That's what that was. Yep. And if you vote for Donald Trump and you're a woman in the suburbs, you're a bad person, you're uncool. Basically, you're
bad
uncool.
Mom.
You're a bad mother, right? Like you're teaching your kids the wrong thing. You're going to get the eyebrow at the Tupperware party, you didn't get it. So-and-so may not get invited to the neighborhood monster bash for Halloween. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what they did. Yeah. And sadly, it worked. And it worked on some. Yeah. Although I still have my own beliefs, and we don't need to get YouTube's panties all in a bunch. All right? But I think we all know where I go on that. So in any event, God, it's already 1 o'clock.
I just want to say today is a very, very important day. And I want to say that I think today marks the most beautiful day of all days. Would you like to know why?
What does she know that I don't know?
Well,
Don
tell
knows
us.
Something that you don't know.
Don,
I think a
is
lot
it
of people
your birthday?
know something you don't know.
Oh my God. You did that to me?
What?
I thought it was something pertaining to him. Don't do that. Look at how red you got me embarrassed so bad. That's
I just want to say.
The audience. You want to tell the audience?
Oh, they know.
Oh, I don't tell the audience that stuff.
I got you.
All right. Man, don't do that to me again.
No, they all know you were really busy.
Okay.
And I said I was going to pop this on.
Yeah, so in any event, for what Laura's talking about, and I thought it was like, Don, you know what? I'm like, they don't have the same one. I thought it was Dawn and Brenda. And I'm like, what am I missing here? Did somebody have a baby? All right. But since the rest of the audience knows anyway, yeah, it's our anniversary. It's been, I always mess this up, but it's been 16 years.
Yes. Baby.
I thought it was 16 years last year.
Yes.
I do that too.
Well,
happy anniversary, guys.
Yeah, thanks. We're not gonna do much other than a dinner,
We go out to eat, and that's it.
We go out to eat. That's all. This is 1 year where I do wish we were still back in Gainesville, because there was this one restaurant where Laura, we'll go out for anniversary or her birthday or something. She'll never drink, right? And then finally, I think it was our 13th wedding anniversary, I took her to this restaurant in Gainesville, and they had these alcoholic drinks that were really like frozen fruities, but they were really cool because they were layered, like 8 different layers. And she liked that, and I tasted it. Like I'm not a girly drink kind of guy. I'm a whiskey sour and Long Island kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And I take a sip of it, and it's delicious.
It's
yummy. It is so good. But they don't have one here, and it's a shame because there are other restaurants that are in that they're owned by the same branch company as that, but for some reason we don't have that one. It stinks. I was gonna try it, but you need like 8 different shakers, Don. You know, like
Yeah.
one's
Oh,
blue,
no.
one's yellow, one's red, one orange.
That's too much effort.
And I
Those
said,
are-
what would it take?
Those are usually pretty potent too.
Oh, it was. And it had, what was it? Like, there was like a little shot thing at the bottom of it.
Yep.
And what was that, tequila?
It was tequila.
It was
You know
tequila.
I like my
Yeah.
tequila.
Just to finish you off.
Just to end it.
Yeah.
And it's at the bottom too, so like you slurp that puppy first. They probably put the lime down there so it masks it, you know?
Oh,
But it was
good.
really good, you know?
But it was the first time Laura got tipsy at a restaurant.
She's like, my nose is numb. That's how Laura...
That's my safeguard.
That's how Laura knows that she shouldn't drink anymore. And she's always done that,
Since-
you know?
Mhm.
For as long as I can remember, you know? All right, well, what was I... There was something I was going
We
to...
were just
no,
wrapping
that's
up.
it? Okay.
We were wrapping up. That's
there's
why I
nothing else I'm
interrupted
missing?
you and said happy anniversary. So.
Yeah, I
I
wasn't
liked
going to
it.
tell anybody that.
Oh, well, you did.
I
before.
wasn't.
Oh well.
I didn't know.
I told
wasn't.
everybody.
Yeah, I know, obviously. All right, but yeah, Don, what's the plans today? I watched your show this week, by the way. It's a great show. I wanted to catch it because I knew you were going to have something to say about Afghanistan. And,
Yeah, we will tomorrow too. So I've got Mark Osgeist on the program.
Oh, cool.
If you've never seen 13 Hours, you got to watch that. He's Oz in the movie. Well, it's more than just a movie, but anyway. So yeah, I'm really curious to get his take on this because again, he gets this whole thing about kind of being left behind and poor execution from our government when it comes to protecting American citizens and those who work with us and all those kind of things. So he was part of the security forces in Benghazi. So we'll have him on the program, of course, the best pollster in the country, Mr. Rich Barris, and our special post-anniversary show. So yeah, we'll have you on, obviously Peter Hussey. And I want to play a couple clips of the interview that I had with General Paul Valley, because he made some just amazing points. One of them was he really understands President Trump and his strategy and what his foreign policy was, knows him personally. And so we talked a little bit about that, about how, I mean, it's speculation, but how would it have been different? What would the follow through have been if it was President Trump? And he knows a little bit about the specific plan that they were working on. So
yeah, me too.
There was a few key parts that were in there. So I want to get those into the show as well. And then I'm working on a video here for today. So I'll probably get that in their own words. There's so many people that want to take away our freedom right now. It's not even funny. And it's not just an American thing. This is a global thing. If you're not watching what's going on in Canada when it comes to the pandemic, look at Australia. Oh my goodness, it's brown shirt on steroids there. So we're going to kind of put that all together and show you how important it is to fight for our freedom. Because Rich, I just want to wrap up with this. This is a war. These people have declared war on us, whether you want to believe that or not. And I hate to be that way. I hate to talk this way.
Yeah, you're not a hyperbolic guy.
I'm not.
No.
But these people have actually declared war on us. And we have to fight. So it's not even just putting people in Congress that'll fight for us. We have to fight. And I'm not talking physically yet, and I hope it doesn't come to that. But these people have declared war on us. They're going to do everything they can to destroy us. It is my motto or moniker on the show is where it's okay to be a conservative. I've always said it's okay to be a liberal too. We're at a point where it's not okay to be a conservative.
Yeah.
For that side, it is not. And because of this debacle, they're just ramping up. They're ramping up. They've got to make it about us. They've got to make it about how we react. But it's gotten so volatile out there. I fear for this country. And so our freedom is really important to fight for, is the point I'm trying to make. And we'll put that into the video that'll be part of the show tomorrow, but I'll try to get it up on Locals as well. DonSmithShow.locals.com. We're on tomorrow at noon.
And also, I can send you, some, but I could send you some other graphics because we did ask about the Civil War question. How likely is it? I showed one today, but there's 2 other follow-up questions, which really should concern everybody. So yeah, everybody thinks we're going to start killing each other, yet there are these people on both sides who don't want a peaceful solution. Right. So not only do they not think there's going to be one, they don't want one. And then particularly, where does that lean? A little bit more on the left. So, this idea that you're saying, I think from the right's point of view, that's more defensive, because they feel what you are just saying. And then from the left's point of view, it's offensive. And I think this is just very, very dangerous. I mean, how can nobody, how can this not be like a top concern for all of our leaders right now?
Exactly.
How could you even consider yourself a leader if you're not recognizing what is happening in this country right now and saying, wow, we have to fix this before all of this spirals out of control? Because it's going to, Don.
You just say, you were talking earlier, you made the comment about you're not going to get invited to the neighborhood Tupperware party anymore. The tipping point is this. So that's actually the more civil way to deal with it. Just say, hey, you know what? I don't like that person's views. So we've all decided we're not going to invite that person. It's sad, but that's the civil way to do it. What point is it that they actually invite that person intentionally to do harm to that person? And I hate to sound crazy or tinfoil hat stuff, but look at what's going on out here. Look at how people are talking about each other and pointing the fingers, and something's got to be done for these. These people all need to be removed. And I mean, just look at the way people are talking right now. So that's the tipping point. Is we may get to a point where somebody goes, yeah, let's invite her to the Tupperware party. I hate to be so cynical, but it's all around us right now. We can see it everywhere.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but you're probably right. And we already have people ratting on their neighbors, ratting on their family and friends. I mean, this is just
crazy.
It's crazy.
That's communism.
It is. It is very anti-American, the worldview. I figured something out yesterday. I went to a meeting. I don't want to get into it, but I was asked to go to this meeting, and it's a local community political thing, and about the direction someone in the county, people in the county are going to go. And it really did dawn on me, Don, that there are just some people who want to see others hurt.
Yep.
That is something that I think is new.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I mean by that. Are we at that tipping point now where somebody would purposely get somebody somewhere? And that's scary as a society, because that's never been what we are. We debate each other, and it's all, it's okay for you to think this and I think this, and we're not there anymore.
That's what a councilman and I were lamenting over. Like we're older, and he was remembering Carter Reagan. And his dad didn't want Reagan to win. His dad was a Democrat, but then life went on. He's like the election was over in 30 minutes, if you remember. It was not long, and then it's like whatever. This side celebrates, woo. This side's like, oh wow, and then you move on. And now it's like the end of the world, because I think there is legitimate, one side at least has a legitimate fear that it is the end of their world, and the other side just refused to accept something, and denied the other side's right to govern. I really do believe we'll look back and we'll say that was the moment, because democracy doesn't work if the winner isn't allowed their legitimate right to govern and rule, right? And if the entire apparatus lines up to prevent them from governing, then we're not really in a democratic society anymore. It's not self-governance. And that'll be the moment that side determined that the system doesn't work for them anymore.
Right.
And then they're under threat.
And I want to make this clear. I think this is important for people to understand too. This was not Trump. Trump did not create this. It's the worst now. But you can go back, and even Obama didn't create this. This was George W. Bush. Yeah. This was his strategy that he put out as the leader of the Republican Party at the time. Don't push back. Just take it. Just let them say what they want to say. So they kept pushing it further and further and further and further, to the point where we are where we are now. This is why I get so mad when Republicans don't stand up, when they don't push back. All these opportunities out there to make their message heard, to have people understand, because people agree with them. Your polling shows that, and they still won't do it. So I do blame us a little bit for that. We've allowed them to get so aggressive and we don't fight back. We think, oh, it's better to just take it. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Push back against the stuff because it's garbage.
Yeah, that's what one of the speakers even said last night. You know, I mean, it just doesn't, Don, it doesn't matter how much information you give them, how much you show that their source lies, you know, what they believe is not correct, you know, and it just doesn't matter. And one guy was just like, this is our damn fault. This is our fault. Because shame on us for thinking that we could just raise our families, live our lives without having to, and you said defend it, to fight. Well, sometimes that comes in different forms. It is ludicrous when you look at the makeup of some of these localities, and I'm talking about demographically, and they don't at all reflect the general population of that locality. Their experiences and backgrounds don't represent the, you know, and most of those citizens just thought they could go on and live their lives and that there was somebody that they could trust to reflect their values. And that's just not, it's not true.
Just one real quick example. Just take a look at Afghanistan. We're all watching this play out. You've got Joe Biden and everybody else in that administration who have told you that there were 300,000 Afghani troops. No, there weren't. They never had 300,000.
Oh, the lies, Don.
Never. They never even had 200,000. So push back against that. Say, no, here's the numbers. Here, it's all right here. You can see it. They told us that they took back control of the airport. You're watching what's going on there. Does that look like we're in control of that airport? They're telling you that they're vetting all these people that are on the plane. How in the hell are they doing that? It was complete chaos. You had people hanging off the side of the C-17. So, no, you're not. Everything they're telling us about Afghanistan is an absolute lie. So fight back. Prove it. It's all provable.
Don, do you know what it took to take Bagram? Just for everybody listening, I want to explain something to you before we go. They're going to send 6,000 troops of different divisions into Afghanistan to retake Bagram because they didn't leave multiple points of departure on the table like Donald Trump's plan did. All right? Bagram took Ranger bats as a fast light infantry strike force, sacking that aircraft with people from ODAs painting lasers at laser targets at the Taliban, not just at the aircraft itself, but the surrounding area where they knew we were coming. Are we sending Ranger battalions now? Are we calling the Ranger bats back?
Rich, you just hit on the biggest lie of all, though.
How many ODAs are going to surround Bagram right now and paint the targets for the Rangers? They're so foolish.
But here's this is the biggest lie of all. Withdrawal. Monday morning, folks. Monday morning, we had 2,500 troops on the ground. We now, the next day you had double that. The next day you had triple that. This is not a withdrawal. Withdrawal is getting them out, not bringing more in. Come on, people. There was no withdrawal. My goodness.
Don, it was just a disaster. It was, and I'm glad you have General Valley on to talk about. He has knowledge of Trump's plan. I'm glad. We need to explain to people the difference in what. First of all, Trump's plan took the fighting seasons into account. And if you don't know anything about Afghanistan, if you know nothing and need to learn something, know this. There is a fighting season. And the Taliban do not launch offensives until the fighting season. So you could leave, theoretically, and not have a problem for 3 months until 3 months later. All right? Especially if you first evacuate citizens. Then you evacuate the so-called allies that helped you. And when I tell you we're talking about a couple of thousand here, we're talking about a couple thousand. We are not talking about 40,000 in Iowa, 80,000 in Florida, 120,000 in Texas. That's bull crap. That is more of the replacement plan.
You should discuss what happens
These
if
are
you leave a gun behind.
Oh, I'll get to that.
Yes.
And then, so you withdraw U.S. citizens, you withdraw, and by the way, embassy personnel, everything. Then you
Equipment?
withdraw.
Military
Then that
equipment?
comes next, right? And when I say U.S. personnel, I mean diplomats and citizens.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about military. They go last, including after the equipment. Which, by the way, what is the standard operating procedure? If you cannot remove that equipment, you destroy it.
Right.
All right, so there should have been SEALs and berets left behind. Boom! What you having for lunch? Boom! I mean, that is what you do all day, literally. Weapons cache? Paint it. You got this one? Yup. Boom! That is how this goes. You don't leave behind drones and Humvees. If a soldier left his weapon, if a one soldier, left their weapon and couldn't find it, went to go get a replacement, what's going to happen to you, Don?
Yep. 75,000 military vehicles. 75,000. That's wow. Nice. Remember when they were bragging?
Unbelievable.
Remember when they were bragging about the 300,000 Afghani troops, which are there everywhere, and they were saying, and they've got an air force. Well, guess who has an air force now?
I tweeted that yesterday. Now the Taliban has an air force. They didn't have an air force before we invaded Afghanistan, but now they got an air force.
And an airport.
And by the way, Trump is right about the Afghan security forces. These are bribed soldiers who, the minute they weren't going to get a paycheck, put their damn weapons down. Are those the men you want here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want? If they weren't going to fight for Afghanistan, you think they're going to fight for the United States of America? Yep. That's why we only want the people who put their skin in the game, literally put their neck on their line.
This is important too, though. This is an important part of this. They didn't put their guns down until we stopped supporting them.
That's right.
We said, you guys are on your own. So long before what we're seeing on TV playing out right now, long before this, we stopped supporting them with the air support. You remember John Kirby on TV, he admitted it. Yeah. He said they're flying more missions than we are now, which meant we weren't flying any missions. So yeah, should they have fought harder and all these kind of things?
Kirby is a disgrace.
They were already being overrun. These guys were already being overrun by the Taliban, and we just sat there going, well, so we knew that they weren't going to be able to hold those positions. We knew they were going to get overrun, and we knew they were going to run. So yeah, they might want to tell us that too. But
all of the same people who screwed up Iraq and created ISIS are the same idiots, only with promotions, who are now creating the worst foreign policy debacle. Don, I would never join an ODA right now. I was so happy when I was accepted into the 18 X-ray program. I would never do it now. We lied to the Montagnards. We lied to the Northern Alliance. We lied to the Kurds. I mean, just down the line. There is nobody who will trust us anymore.
No.
They oppress a lever.
We went in 20 years ago and we chased Al-Qaeda. We went in and we chased Al-Qaeda out of mountains and caves, and now the Taliban owns the country.
Yep.
Yeah, great job. 20 years.
And Don, we knew immediately. By 2003, the latest, we were certain. Osama bin Laden is gone. He got across Torbar. He's in Pakistan. What the hell were we? I mean, look, the question is not whether we were going to stay there or not. It was how we were going to leave. And by the way, Donald Trump was going to cover everybody on the way out. That's another. So we already, even when it's not the fighting season, we still know, folks, where the Taliban positions are. I mean, this is like ridiculous to pretend like they're hiding in some hole and we don't know which hole. We do know. That's why he dropped a Moab on one of them. Remember that? I mean, it's just that there are too many people on TV, too, that talk and don't know what they're talking about. And like those making comments like, you're just talking about 300,000 security for it. Please. Maybe the overall rolls were 300,000. You know, and they would lie about missions constantly. I mean, I'm not even kidding. They'd go out. They'd say, yep, we ran this patrol. We spent this many magazines. We let go of this many RPGs. We fired off the AT-4 like 4 times. They're lying and full of crap.
Yep.
Just unbelievable.
Yep. And they shut down the only fortress they had. Bagram Air Base. The only fortress they had. Okay, that was the kickoff. Once the Taliban saw that, they went, "Oh, there's no way they can stop us now."
That's
and
it.
They were absolutely right.
And of course, because they know the area.
Mhm.
I heard Seth on War Room yesterday, and he said it, man. He did. He said the saying that I told you about many years ago. They used to just say, "You have the watches, we got the time."
Mm-hmm.
And they were so right. And I can't tell you how important Bagram was in the beginning of that war. This is it, man. Bagram. It's all about Bagram. We take Bagram. Afghanistan is ours. It's just listen. And for those of you, I see a lot of veterans really like in pain. All right. All you can do, all you can look back and judge is whether you did the job that you were given to the best of your ability. The rest is up to the political hacks and the top brass. So don't feel guilty. Don't feel ashamed. Don't question whether your service was worth it. You made a decision yourself to serve. And then when you were serving, did you do your job? Did you do the job they asked you, ordered you to do?
Yep.
To the best of your ability, did you carry it out?
Then
your mission is fulfilled.
The same thing our Vietnam veterans had to deal with.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
I can't even tell.
It's always politics.
And by the way, Joe Biden, 1974. For those who aren't old enough, and I'm not old enough to remember, I just know the history. People like Joe Biden held up funding, which is why we had the photographs from Saigon, the helicopter on top of the embassy, the whole 9 yards, the Tet Offensive. This is why we had those images branded now in our national psyche. Because Joe Biden, a Democrat, and his Democratic friends, who started the freaking war, okay, didn't want to fund an exit strategy that would have left us to, in a position where we could leave with at least a little dignity, orderly, and that's what happened. I don't think, and by the way, he said that we don't owe any of those refugees a damn thing. Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
But now we owe 100,000 Afghanis a seat on a ship, on a plane,
Yep. The S show is just starting with this. The S show is just starting with this.
Did you expect this would fall apart this quickly, Don?
No way.
Me
No
either.
way.
I thought we at least had a couple of years before this was going to turn into this.
As soon as I saw them shut down Bagram, then I was like, this is not going to end well. Yeah. So that was my first realization that we were in for some really bad times ahead.
Yeah,
and I wonder how many of them knew that. I mean, the Millies, the Kirbys, all these. Weren't they smart enough to know that? I think a lot of people understood that when they shut that down, this was going to get bad, because that was it. That was your way out. 45 kilometers away from Kabul, and you get the people, like you were saying, you get the people there, you get them to Bagram, you get them out of there. It's a fortress, and then you shut it down. That's the last thing you do.
And Kabul is a third world airport, folks. It's not a defendable position. No. I mean, it isn't JFK.
No.
London Heathrow. Like, it is not what you think when the media tells you they're going to just schedule all these flights and get these. This is crap. You could one person with an AK-47 could literally walk out onto the tarmac and hose everybody down. One guy.
These people have, so right now they're going to do the whole, the Taliban, they're super nice now. And you saw the CNN lady, they're chanting death to America, but they seem very friendly. This is insane. But these guys are equipped with some pretty good equipment. They could take down any one of those planes if they wanted to, and we couldn't do anything about it. So we're very fortunate that up to this point that hasn't happened, and I pray that it doesn't. But they have that capability. They could easily do that. So
first we gave them Stingers to fight the Russians.
Right.
And now we gave them AT-4s and drones.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Yes, it is.
We're going to be
All right, well,
defending ourselves from
Yeah,
our
this
own
is going to be
weapons from
years.
Yep.
peons.
Years we're going to pay for this.
And Howard said, what about China? They're probably reverse engineering things. Howard
Yep.
said,
Yeah, well, that's another thing. These idiots, and I know this show's going way over, Don. I'm keeping you way over, but
That's right.
these idiots on TV, well, they don't really know how to use this stuff. You're right, jackass. They're going to fly somebody in from China, like Howard just said. Somebody from Thailand will be happily come and show them how to do it. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Iranians share a border with them.
Yep.
Maybe you don't know that. Maybe your geography is not up, Ron, current.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, what do you think they're going to do with all that opium? At least the original Taliban. Man, you got caught trying to take opium out of that country when the Taliban was first in charge, pre-01 invasion. Even the Iranians. There, for people who don't know, there's especially one drug trafficking route that goes where they share a border. It's literally a mountain pass where the Iranians would go on one side and the Taliban would go on the other, and it was a kill zone and they just murder everybody. You think they're going to do that now? I don't think so.
No, it's the
I
number
think they're
one.
going to
it's the number
send
one
the
industry.
poison. Yep, send the poison to the Americans who are dumb enough to shoot it.
They're going to send it to the southern border, and they're going to
That's right.
the cartels are going to run it across the border for them.
That's exactly right.
They
Juarez,
get how this works.
no problem. They'll take that. They'll take those bundles. The
You bet
Juarez
they will.
cartel, the Sinaloa cartel, they'll take those bundles. No problem.
Yep.
We're so stupid.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'll leave it on that note, sadly. All right, Don. Again, repeat. When's the show tomorrow? Give it one last time.
All right, we got Mark Osgeist, we got Rich the People's Pundit Barris, we've got Peter Hussey tomorrow noon Eastern time. Be there, or I don't know, just be there.
Just be there.
DonSmithShow.locals.com, and we'll hope to see you tomorrow.
All right, my friend. Thanks for joining us as always.
Happy
And,
anniversary.
Thank you, my friend. We're going to the Chelsea's tonight.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna bake in. Oh, I shouldn't have said that out loud, right?
Yeah, great.
Well, you already. You know what? That's
Hey,
why I don't like
tell
opening
people
the door.
locations. Well, we're changing the location now, all right?
And you know what? He's a liberal too, and I love that. I can sit down with him, and he knows what I do. He knows what I am, And I come into the restaurant. He never, it's just great. He sits down. We really need to get back to that,
Yes.
but
Like civilized conversations,
which
we can find middle ground. If I'm not happy and you're not happy, we're doing something right. I'm
Yeah.
sick and tired of this.
or at least a mutual.
Yep.
Like he's not a radical. Like he's not
Yes.
like rabidly ideological to the point where now you can't sit in my restaurant and eat. Like, I mean, which we have run into, right?
Yeah.
We have.
Mhm.
Oh, you. No. Oh, my God.
It's like, all right.
All right, everybody have a safe weekend. See you at noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow on the Don Smith Show. And,
DonSmith.locals.com.
Yep, donsmith.locals.com. And we'll, I'll see you tomorrow morning, my friend.
Sounds good. See you then.
All the best, everyone.
Love you guys.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. There's rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
We can get on a plane and take a one-way ride. Steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a night. Just to give in to the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh yeah. Deuces.
Deuces. Safe week.